Hello everybody, here we are today talking about my Week 10 CFL picks. So before we get into that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or the CFL, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So last week went better for me than the week prior to that, as I went 1-3 compared to 0-4, so it's a slight upgrade if you will. And so this week we're hoping to get even better, maybe even 2-2, as we talk about the CFL for the love of the game. And of course, I do apologize for this one coming out a day later than I wanted it to. I don't know if you can tell, but I've been sick throughout the week, so things have been kind of getting moved around. So anyway, let's talk about the first game of the week and give my thoughts on it as well as my pick. So we have the Saskatchewan Roughriders against the Ottawa Redblacks. So this one I'm excited about because you have the Saskatchewan Roughriders that just got handed an embarrassing loss by the Edmonton Elks at home against a winless Edmonton side that picked up their first win while also putting up 40-plus points against Saskatchewan. You had, of course, Javon Leake having a big game, and that one straightforward W, by the way. And that is good for Edmonton, bad for Saskatchewan. They are also dealing with more bad news. Trevor Harris is going to be out for this game, which we kind of already expected, as well as AJ Ouellette and Jameer Thurman. So injuries as well as a painful loss last week did not pair well with traveling to Ottawa, where the Redblacks are 5-2 on the year. On top of that, too, I think they're undefeated at home. In fact, I'm 99% sure they're undefeated at home. They might be 4-0. Whatever the case we're looking at here, this is the best run that they've had in terms of an undefeated home start to a year in decades, from what I remember from the TSN broadcast a couple weeks back ago. And I am thrilled for this one because I want to see Ottawa take another game and make a testament out of it. If they beat Calgary, that is a good win, but that is, of course, another team that's kind of been up and down. If they beat Saskatchewan, while this one is going to be a side that is coming off of a tough loss as well as being a little bit streaky as of late, they still were a team that was able to force a lot of turnovers throughout the year to get off to a good start, and that would just, again, propel them a little bit closer to being 6-2. Next thing you know, they're hovering around that 9-9 talk at the very worst, and are in a spot where they could be a 2 seed out east. Who would have thought? So for that reason, I'm going to get fun here with this one and pick Ottawa for this. I don't really know. I feel like this one would probably be 50-50 for fans at the moment, but I still feel like at the moment people are probably leaning towards Ottawa and buying into them a little bit more and more each week. Could they lose this one? Probably yes, but I'm going to be backing them as I'd like to see them win. I also feel like they probably should win. If they lose this one, it's not the end-all, be-all, but if they win it, this kind of backs up, again, what we're saying. They should be winning games like this, whether teams, even if they do have a good record, are dealing with injuries. So they're coming off of a bye, make a testament here, and go out and pick up another W. And then on Friday night, you have the Calgary Stampeders traveling to Toronto. Again, a back-to-back. Calgary and Toronto played each other last week in Calgary. This looked like a game where Toronto was going to pick up the win, and then Calgary went on a 21-1 run in the second half to pick up the W there. This game is going to be big, especially for both sides in terms of the playoff conversation. Toronto has been not great lately. I know Calgary is going to be in a weird spot too because I believe they're looking to pick up their first road win of the year, and they're going to have to try to do it against a team that could say, well, we did pretty well against them in the first half, and then the second half things didn't go particularly well. I think what I'm going to say here for this game is my mindset, despite the fact they're going to be without Mills and all these things, for the Stamps and just have a lot of things that I feel like could be going against them, as well as, Toronto is too. I trust Jake Maier more than I do Dukes at the moment in terms of having that big game. Dukes, I'm still a little bit worried about. I do think he is a two-way player, a dynamic player that can get, yards with passing and running and things like that. But if Maier needs to have a big game, I think the potential is there to do that, and I'm going to be backing the Stamps here. Going to have a little bit of a spicy pick, if you will, because I try to need to get back into the running for our group picks on Instagram. So yes, we're going to be picking the Stamps here and saying that second half momentum was what was truthfully happening here. Tossed up here for this one, so I'd like to know what you guys think. And then you have the Hamilton Tiger Cats traveling over to Montreal to play the Alouettes, another back-to-back. And last week, we saw Hamilton end up losing to Montreal. I think the Owls were able to pour it on in the fourth quarter from what I remember in that game. And this is weird because Fajardo looks like he'll still miss, and it doesn't even seem to be phasing the Owls. They're 7-1 on the year. You know the defense is good. You know the offense can make plays. And Hamilton, despite being a side that has been a little bit on the momentum roll, if you will, in recent weeks, still wasn't able to get the job done at home against Montreal. Therefore, you're probably expecting Montreal to go out there and get a win at home for themselves after they picked up a nice road win. There's a lot of talk in the CFL about back-to-backs and teams being able to split it, but I will say, even with Alexander being the quarterback for the Owls right now, I think that this team is just good enough to pick up another win, and I think they're going to be able to do it at home to move to 8-1 because they are aware, Ottawa's still kind of hanging in close with them, but they can keep applying pressure and just build up that nice lead. With Fajardo being gone, it's even more impressive. Hamilton probably needs this more. In fact, I know they need it more. But with what we've seen from the Owls, I'm going to expect them to get the W here, even if it's a close game. Who knows, though? Maybe Bo's able to bounce back and have a more efficient day with less interceptions in this game, because it took him like 40-something attempts to get over, what was it, like 250 yards? I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, as I've been sick and trying to battle back out of this. But we'll see who can battle in this one and who can come out with the win. And then the final game of the week, you have the BC Lions and the Edmonton Elks, and this is the battle of Jake Dolegala and Trey Ford. I'm excited, even though I am very scared as a Lions fan. Vernon Adams Jr. gets hurt in a frustrating, very underrated statement right there, frustrating loss to the BC Lions. Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Felt like BC was beating BC as they had just 4 first downs in that game. And that is, again, we're not even going to go there. But Jake is going to be in charge of this offense now. And I think this is going to be a great chance to see what he's got going on here. Edmonton is not as bad as the record indicates, but they're still not world beaters. They're still not Montreal right now in terms of being top dog in the CFL. So seeing what Jake can do against Edmonton is what I'm excited to see for here. Not necessarily seeing he's going to have to go out there and throw for 350 yards in this one, but I do think he's going to have to keep up with Trey Ford. I think he's going to have to keep pace, if you will, because Trey Ford, I did a post about him yesterday. 5 out of the past 8 wins for Edmonton over the past 2 years have been with Trey as a starter, if I'm not mistaken. It was 6 out of the past 9 over the past 3 years. If you want a win in your Edmonton, you want Trey Ford to probably be the guy. He's got 19 passing touchdowns over the past 2 years. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns. He's got over, I think, 650 rushing yards. He can run. He can throw. He can make this offense more dynamic, and that is exciting as an Edmonton team that is trying to build off that first win of the week that we saw last week on the road. Now they're at home. And truthfully, I'm not exactly sure what to make of this game. I feel like BC should be in a better spot to win, but I'm picking Edmonton. I feel very confident about Trey Ford. Maybe I've been too much of a Trey Ford fan over the course of doing the channel and talking about him since he's been drafted. But Jake hasn't really impressed me at times during the course of the season. Of course, preseason, there were some questionable throws. And I do feel like, truthfully, I want him to do well, but I'm just very skeptical of how that'll go. Even if this is a close one, I expect Edmonton to pull out back-to-back wins. Even though their season is realistically done, they'd be, 2-7? I'm still feeling like this should probably be a victory for the Elks, and if not, it's not the end-all be-all, because again, BC on paper is a better team and is still positioned pretty well to pick up the W in this. But anyway, those are my picks for the week. So we have the first game where I'm picking Ottawa, the second game where I'm picking, who is it? Yes, Calgary, and then we have Montreal, and then to close this one out this week, we have Edmonton. So if it happens that way, it's not the end of the world for me. I'd like to see maybe Saskatchewan get handed a loss because, again, we're big fans of Drew Brown and Trey Ford and a lot of these guys that have been backups for a minute getting those opportunities. So I want to see them thrive. And if my team is at the end of that, I'm not thrilled about it, but it is what it is. Anyway, what are your picks for Week 10 in the CFL? I'm looking forward to this game tonight. Everybody, please make sure to stay safe as well. Subscribe, all that stuff. And we got a little bit crazy on the back end. So basically what I'm trying to say here is everybody, please make sure to stay safe and have a great night.